Crush It. Why Now is the Time to Cash In on Your Passion, by Gary Vaynerchuk. Introduction. Imagine it's December 22nd, the heart of the frantic holiday season. A blizzard is raging, turning the roads into a treacherous white nightmare. Now, imagine you're running a multi-million-dollar business, and this is your busiest, most critical time of the year. Every minute counts. Then, you get a call. A customer, not a regular, not a big spender, but just one customer, who lives 3 hours away in another state, didn't receive her order. It was a single case of white Zinfandel. Your staff tells you it's impossible. FedEx won't make it in time for Christmas. It's a lost cause. What do? For most people, the answer is simple. Apologize, issue a refund, and maybe send a gift card. It's a logical, efficient business decision. But for a young man named Gary Vaynerchuk, that wasn't an option. Without a second thought, he threw a case of wine into his car and drove 6 hours, round trip, through a blinding snowstorm, to hand-deliver that wine to her door. Why? There was no angle. No big sale to be made. That woman wasn't going to become a major client. He did it because it was about something bigger than one sale. It was about setting a tone. It was about building a legacy. That story tells you everything you need to know about the man and the philosophy behind the book we're exploring today. Crush It. This isn't just a book, it's a manifesto that landed like a thunderclap in the business world. Written by Gary Vaynerchuk, an immigrant from Belarus who went from a kid trading baseball cards in school hallways to turning his family's local liquor store into a $60 million empire, this book laid out a blueprint for a new kind of success. It's a blueprint built not on fancy degrees or old money connections, but on 3 simple, powerful pillars: passion, authenticity, and an absolutely relentless work ethic he calls hustle. Today, I'm going to share that blueprint with you. And I promise you, by the end of our time together, you won't just understand how to build a business around what you love. You'll understand that the world has fundamentally changed, and that right now, at this very moment, you have an opportunity that no generation before you has ever had. The chance to cash in on your passion and build a life entirely on your own terms. Book summary. So, where do we begin this journey? It doesn't start with a business plan or a marketing strategy. It starts with a simple, yet profound question. What makes you come alive? What is the one thing you could talk about for hours? The subject that makes you lose track of time? The thing you would do for free, just for the sheer joy of it? According to Gary Vaynerchuk, that is your starting line. He calls it your passion, but it's more than that. He believes it's encoded in your very DNA. Think about Gary himself. As a kid, he wasn't exactly a star student. His report cards were, to put it mildly, a source of great distress for his mother. While his teachers were trying to explain math, he was hiding a baseball card price guide inside his textbook, studying for his next big trade show. He wasn't lazy or unintelligent. He was just wired differently. His DNA screamed entrepreneur. At 8 years old, he was running a franchise of 7 lemonade stands, riding around on his big wheel to collect his earnings. One spring, he famously cut the flowers from his neighbor's yard, rang her doorbell, and sold them back to her. The profit margin, he notes, was amazing. Too many of us, he argues, are taught to ignore that inner voice. We're pushed to follow a path that looks safe, that meets the expectations of our family or society. The person born to design bicycles becomes a lawyer. The one who loves experimenting with makeup ends up in a soulless sales job. This, to Gary, is the greatest tragedy. Because in the world we live in today, there's absolutely no reason to settle. This leads to his 3 simple rules for success. The first is to love your family. That's the foundation. It always comes first. The second is to work super hard. There are no shortcuts, and we'll talk a lot more about that. But the third rule is the game changer, the key that unlocks everything else. Live your passion. Because when you're truly living your passion, work doesn't feel like work. You don't live for vacations, because you don't need a break from what you're doing. You don't count the hours, because working, playing, and relaxing all become the same thing. And that's where the magic happens. So you've identified your passion. Maybe it's vintage sneakers, or baking, or a video game like World of Warcraft, or even, as Gary suggests, something as niche as knowing everything about fishing worms. The first objection most people have is, that's nice, but you can't make money from that. This is where the second core pillar of Gary's philosophy comes in, building your personal brand. He wants you to understand a critical shift. In the old world, a company had a brand. A product had a brand. But today, you are the brand. Everyone, he insists, from a CEO to a student to a stay-at-home parent, needs to think of themselves as a brand. It's no longer an option. It's a necessity for survival and success in the modern world. And what is your brand? It's you. The authentic, unfiltered, unpolished you. It's your quirks, your opinions, your unique way of seeing the world. Gary's own story is the perfect case study. When he took over his dad's liquor store, he noticed a trend. People buying vodka or whiskey knew exactly what they wanted. They'd walk in and grab their bottle of Absolut or Johnny Walker. They were loyal to established brands. But wine buyers were different. They'd wander the aisles, looking lost, intimidated by the hundreds of choices. They were looking for a guide, a storyteller. Gary saw the opportunity. He became that guide. Years later, when he decided to start a video blog, he didn't just review wine. He created Wine Library TV, also known as The Thunder Show, and it was a reflection of his personality, loud, over-the-top, and hyper. He'd describe a wine not with fancy terms like notes of rose petals, but by saying it tasted like a whatchamacallit bar or big league chew. He used a New York Jets spit bucket. Now, he admits that his loud, yelling introduction probably lost him 12% of his potential viewers right off the bat. And as a businessman, that drove him crazy. He desperately wanted to tone it down to appeal to more people. But he couldn't. Because that yelling, screaming, super excited guy was who he was. To pretend to be anything else would be a performance, and people can sniff out a fake from a mile away. Authenticity, he hammers home, is the key. Your brand is built on being the one thing that is guaranteed to differentiate you from everyone else, you. This is a profound shift from the old way of doing business. In the past, you had to be polished. Everything was scripted. Today, opportunity lies in transparency. Consumers are tired of being sold to. They want to connect with real people. They want to know that the person they're dealing with is being honest. He gives the example of a real estate agent. The old way is to describe a rundown house as a charming fixer-upper just waiting for some TLC. The new way, the crush it way, would be to get on camera and say, "Folks, I have got one ugly house to sell." Seriously, you have to see the red shag carpeting. But the sellers are great people, and if you've got about $275,000 and a good contractor, you could turn this into something special. Which agent would you trust? The one who builds their brand on that kind of radical honesty will become the most trusted agent in town, and opportunity will follow them everywhere. Because ultimately, your personal brand is your new resume. That tweet you just sent, that comment you left on a blog, that's your resume now. It's a living, breathing document of who you are, what you think, and what you stand for. Okay, so you have your passion, and you're committed to building an authentic personal brand around it. Now for the practical part, How do you actually make the world listen? This is where we get into the nuts and bolts, the third pillar of the Crush It philosophy. It involves three crucial components: creating great content, choosing your platform, and building a community. First, content. Your content is the product you're delivering to the world. And it has to be great. This comes from a combination of passion and expertise. You need to know your stuff. Read everything, watch everything, absorb every piece of information you can find about your topic. Gary offers a simple test. Can you think of at least 50 blog topics about your passion that you are genuinely amped to create? If you can't, you might need to dig deeper. If it's your true passion, he says, you should be able to find 500 things to say about it. And your content isn't just about information. It's about telling a story. People don't connect with data. They connect with stories. Whether you're an accountant, a doctor, or a gardener, your job is to tell the story of your world. Make people care about it as much as you do. Second, you have to choose your platform. This is where you'll deliver your content. In the online world, you have three main formats: the written word, a blog; audio, a podcast; or video. This choice, again, comes back to your DNA. Gary loves to talk and has a big personality, so video was a natural fit for him. But if you're self-conscious on camera but have a compelling voice, an audio podcast might be your stage. If you're a brilliant writer but shy, then a written blog is your perfect medium. The key is to not force it. Don't add a video to your website just for the sake of it. Choose the medium that lets your personality and passion shine through effortlessly. Whatever you choose, your blog is your home base. It's the central location where all your content lives, an archive of your journey. But a home is no good if no one visits. That's where the other platforms come in, tools like Facebook and Twitter. Think of your blog as your store, and platforms like Facebook and Twitter as the billboards and radio ads that bring people to your door. At the time Gary wrote this book, he called Twitter the pulse of society, a game-changing tool for communication. Why? Because it's not just for telling people what you had for breakfast. It's a research tool, a press release machine, and a way to have direct, one-on-one conversations with your community. He famously demonstrated its power with a simple experiment. For his wine business, he spent $7,500 on traditional advertising, a billboard, direct mail, and radio ads, offering a free shipping code. Those efforts brought in a few hundred orders. Then, for free, he sent out a single tweet with a free shipping code. The result? 1,700 orders in 48 hours. The game, as he says, has changed. These platforms are the tools you use to distribute your brand and bring eyes back home to your blog. This brings us to the most important part of the entire strategy, the part where most people fail. It's not about creating the content. He says that's the easy part. The whole game is what you do after you post. And that is creating community. This is where the hustle comes in. Creating community is about digging what he calls your internet trench. It means you don't just broadcast your message and wait for people to show up. You go out and join every single conversation already happening online about your topic. Here's the nightly routine he followed for years. After filming an episode of his show, he would spend the next 8 or 9 hours online. He would use tools like Google Blog Search and Twitter Search to find every blog post, every forum discussion, every tweet that mentioned wine. And he would comment. Not just great post, but thoughtful, intelligent, expert comments that added value to the conversation. At the end of each comment, he would leave his name and a link back to his blog. He was planting seeds. He was shaking hands, introducing himself, and giving people a reason to get curious. And when they followed him back to his blog, He was ready to capture their attention with his killer content and easy-to-use call-to-action buttons, like subscribe to my email or follow me on Twitter. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is a grind. Gary is unapologetic about this. If you want to build something meaningful, you have to be willing to bleed out of your eyeballs at your computer. There's no time for video games or poker nights. Your life becomes your family and your work. And if you're living your passion, you'll love every minute of it. You'll go to bed reluctantly and wake up excited to do it all over again. This level of hustle requires one more crucial ingredient: patience. Gary says 90% of the people who contact him are complaining that they've been working hard for 6 weeks and nothing is happening. His response? 6 weeks? You don't build a business in 6 weeks. He calls patience the secret sauce. He himself was patient for over a year and a half after launching his show before he even tried to make a single business deal. He was building his brand, building his community, and waiting for the right moment. Because once you've built that brand and that loyal community, the opportunities to monetize will come. And they come from all directions. Advertising on your site, speaking engagements, affiliate programs where you earn a commission for recommending products, writing articles, consulting, book deals, even TV appearances. The key is to think of it as a marathon, not a sprint. You build the brand first, and the money will follow. But even as you pursue these goals, there's one final, overarching principle that must guide every decision you make. It's the idea that brought us back to that snowy night in the case of White Zinfandel. It's the most important mantra in the entire book: legacy is greater than currency. In today's world, everything you do is recorded for eternity. Every blog post, every tweet, every business deal becomes part of your story. You're not just building a business, you're building a legacy. So, with every decision, Gary asks 2 questions. Will this make me money? And, will I be proud of how I made that money? If the answer to the second question is no, he doesn't do it. Ever. Legacy always wins. This is why he obsessively tries to answer every email and every tweet he receives. It's not about business strategy. It's about respect. It's about caring. In fact, when asked for the best marketing strategy ever, his answer is just one word: care. Care about your community. Care about your content. Care about how you treat people. Because in the end, that's what people will remember. That's the mortar that holds a successful, lasting brand together. Ultimately, this book is a call to action. It's a challenge to stop making excuses. If you have a full-time job, you can work from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. The tools are free. The platforms are open. The only investment required is your time and your hustle. The only thing standing in your way is you. The world has changed. The gatekeepers are gone. Whether your passion is wine, or sneakers, or accounting, you now have the ability to tell your story to the world. And if you tell it with passion, with authenticity, and with a relentless desire to connect and to care, you won't just build a business. You'll build a life. And you will, in Gary Vaynerchuk's unforgettable words, crush it. Commentary. As we reflect on the powerful ideas in Crush It, it's easy to feel a surge of pure, unadulterated energy. This isn't a book that whispers. It's a book that shouts from the rooftops, filled with the raw, infectious enthusiasm of its author. And what's most remarkable is that, even though it was written years ago, in a world before TikTok, before Instagram influencers were a career path, its message is more relevant today than ever before. In fact, you could argue that we are now living in the world that Gary Vaynerchuk predicted. The core lesson here, the one that I believe resonates most deeply, is the profound liberation that comes from aligning who you are with what you do. For generations, work was seen as a duty, a means to an end. You did what you had to do to earn a living, and you pursued your passions on the weekend, if you had any energy left. Gary's philosophy completely flips that script. He proposes that your passion shouldn't be a hobby you escape to, but the very engine of your professional life. It's a radical idea, but one that holds the key to not just wealth, but true fulfillment. The second powerful takeaway is the democratization of opportunity. The idea that you don't need permission to succeed is incredibly empowering. You don't need a publisher to anoint you as a writer. You don't need a TV network to give you a show. The tools, the cameras in our pockets, the global distribution platforms that are free to use, have shattered the old barriers. The only true differentiator left is the one thing no one can copy: your unique voice, your passion, and your willingness to outwork everyone else. Your hustle. And finally, the concept of legacy is greater than currency provides a vital moral compass for this new world of entrepreneurship. In an age of fleeting internet fame and the temptation of quick cash, this principle anchors us. It reminds us that what we're building is more than just a follower count or a bank balance. We're building a reputation, a story that will outlive us. It forces us to ask the hard questions about not just what we're doing, but why we're doing it, and how we're treating people along the way. So, how can you start applying these lessons, right now, today? Here are a few simple actions you can take. First, conduct a passion audit. Take out a piece of paper and, for the next 15 minutes, write down every single thing that fascinates you, no matter how weird or niche. What do you find yourself reading about late at night? What topics do your friends get tired of you talking about? Don't judge any of them. Just get them on paper. This is the raw material for your personal brand. Second, become a listener. Pick one of those passions and spend the next hour digging into its internet trench. Go on TikTok, YouTube, or Twitter and search for that topic. Who are the big names? What conversations are happening? Don't post anything. Just listen. Understand the community before you try to join it. And third, create one piece of content. Just one. It doesn't have to be perfect. Film a 30-second video on your phone sharing one interesting fact about your passion. Write a single paragraph with your opinion on a recent development in that world. Then, share it on the platform of your choice. The goal isn't to go viral, it's to break the seal, to take the first step from being a consumer to becoming a creator. That was a summary of Crush It, by Gary Vaynerchuk. We've certainly covered the main ideas today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary can only ever be a map. The real adventure happens when you explore the territory for yourself. The true power of this book isn't just in the strategies, it's in the raw energy that practically leaps off the page and grabs you by the collar. This summary is designed to help you decide if this book's message is what you need to hear right now. If anything we've talked about today sparked a fire in you, grab a copy. Reading it isn't just learning, it's an experience that can genuinely change the way you see your future. The link to the book is in the description. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next journey into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep growing together.